Welcome to everybody. This is another one in the another event in the series or in the sequence of events that we've had in SAC Europe, and it's open to all the SAC members, and that's why we have some members here from the US as well. So we have, I don't know, 6, 7 countries here. So we've Spain, we've Germany, we've UK, Ireland, US, and possibly some others. So all very welcome. And our presenter today is our colleague, our SAC colleague, Sten Vesterli. And Sten is in Denmark, and many of you will know him from the Alan Weiss community. And I know he's been active both on the forums, and he's been at lots of the events. I think we met at some events in the US, Sten, I think in the past. And Sten consults with IT organizations and helps them succeed by using appropriate technology. So that's, if you like, what he's going to help us with today, talk about appropriate technology for our business. So the title of his presentation today is "What technology do you really need for things like keeping track of your prospects and clients and so on?" And I guess he's going to tell us to be careful not to be seduced and waste our valuable time, and to be focused on what we really need. I asked Sten earlier about taking questions, so he says he's happy to take questions as he talks. So as he's talking, if you have a question, just speak up. And if you don't want to speak up and you prefer just to write your question, just write it in the chat, and Hamish will look out for your questions in the chat window. So with that, I will pass over to Sten. Welcome, Sten. Off you go.
Thank you. So I will share a few slides here, and afterwards I'll just briefly show you some of the tools that I'm using. So what we need, the technology that we need for client contact is, there are basically three types of information we need to store. So one of them is for individual communication. So we need some way to reach out to people individually. We need to store people's contact information so we can contact one person. And we need to have some kind of mass communication. So we need a tool that allows us to communicate with many people at a time. And then if we have more than a handful of clients, then we'll need logs of some kind. We need some way of figuring out, of keeping track of who are we, what have we been doing, what have we been discussing, old projects that we did, so that we know where we are in our process with prospects or clients. And we could do that at different levels, at different technology levels. So basically, we have at the simplest level, we can do pretty much everything in a spreadsheet. We can also have software to help us with mass mailings, which is, so as having everything in a spreadsheet is my level 0. Like, that's the initial part. That's the absolute basics that we need in order to have our communication running. Then there is level 1, where we have some mass emailing software. There is level 2, where we have an actual contact management system, or a CRM, a customer relationship management system. And that would take care of a log, would allow us to keep in touch with people and know what interactions have we had with people. And then I'm mentioning a level 3 because there are ways to keep track of things sort of outside the constraints of a traditional database. So a CRM system is a database, just like your Excel spreadsheet is a database or your FileMaker Pro database is a database. There are some other ways of storing information. So I'll be showing you a piece of network software that can actually illustrate or visualize how things are connected. So the first level is if we just have a spreadsheet. So you could have all your contacts in a basic spreadsheet. And we're hearing when we're discussing software, when we're discussing our own software on the forums, then people will start, should I use this CRM or that CRM? And Alan will always weigh in with, you can make do with a spreadsheet. That's enough. And that is true. It is possible to do everything you need to do from a spreadsheet. So you send it, you have your contacts there, and you have your email, you have your email addresses. And if you want to do a mass mailing, send something out to all your customers and prospects, well, you could just select all your emails from your spreadsheet and cut and paste them into your email program. So that does allow you to do the individual contact and the mass contact. And if you want to have keep log what your interactions are, well, a spreadsheet isn't terribly good at that, but you could have a comment field next to each person. So you have the person's name, their email, their phone number, and you could have a comment field where you're just writing what you've been discussing. There is a project opportunity to call back in December, things like that. And that just running with a spreadsheet is, well, it could very well be enough. Now, Patrick was introducing me saying I'm advising my customers on using appropriate technology, and here I'm advising you on appropriate technology. But like any preacher, I'll tell you to do as I say and not as I do, because I am a technologist and I'm just as susceptible to shiny object syndrome as everybody else. I think I've found a good way. I think I've found a good balance, but I could also survive with less technology. But at the basic level, we have just a spreadsheet. At level 1, we have some kind of mass mailing software. If we are going to be sent, if we have a list of a few hundred people or thousands of people or tens of thousands of people, we need some way of handling mass emails. So if you send out an email to 100 people from your own email account, that might be a problem, probably isn't. If you're sending out 20 emails, not a problem. If you're sending out 200 emails from your own email account through your mail program, your mail provider might, or your internet provider might actually start flagging it as spam or flagging your account. So if you're sending out hundreds of mails, go with one of the mass mailing services. So you can sign up with any number of these. I use MailChimp, which is one of them, but there are dozens of them. Lots of different software has this mass mailing feature. You need this feature so everything doesn't come from your own personal account through your computer. So send it from one of these mass mailing software systems. They also handle handle the rejects, and they will probably also filter out the out of office replies. So if you're sending something from your own account, of course you get all the out of office replies. You get all of the emails that are invalid because people have left some company. So if you use a piece of mailing software, then of course your mailing software will just notice, for instance, my MailChimp software does a soft bounce. Oh, I couldn't deliver, and after 3 times, that person gets archived and goes off my list without him cluttering up my inbox. So we probably all need to have some kind of mass mailing software so we can keep in touch with people, send out something regularly. Now, the frequency is going to be different for each of us. So we could send out something, every week. We could send out something every month, or at any frequency that any frequency we like. But level 1 is mass mailing software. Now, level 2 is real CRM software, customer relationship management. And that's where we have a system that stores all our contacts, and we have some way of keeping our logs saying we had this interaction with this person. We know where we are in our relationship with that person. One of the problems with CRM software is that it has to be fed. You need to put data into your CRM software. It doesn't automatically look at you and realize that you were on the phone with Joe from company X. So if you want to track what your communication is with a specific prospect or with a specific customer, you are going to have to make an effort to put stuff into your CRM software. I'm using one that's not widely used, one called Contactually, and I'll show that at the end after the slides. It has some features that I like, but if you have a number of prospects that you are working on at the same time, then you might want to have a piece of CRM software. If you have a handful of people, if you have 10 people that you're talking to, you can keep them in your mind or just on a list. If you're trying to contact hundreds of people, thousands of people, if you're casting a wider net, then a piece of CRM software allows you to keep track of, I sent my book out to, some people send out their books, I've sent it out to 100 people. Did you follow up with them? Did you register? This person got a book, and that's something that you would check in your CRM software, note that, okay, now that person got a book. I tried to call, I managed to call, the person was interested, not interested, call back next month. So that's what a CRM system does for us. Then what I call level 3 is network software. I call it network because it allows you to link various pieces together that basically you can draw a line, you can connect anything that you want. I'll show you my network software after the slides. The idea or the benefit of having network software is that it allows you to link together. This person worked at this organization on that project with that technology. So all of these interlinked connections between people allows you to visualize how people are connected, and that might make a difference for your business or for your understanding of your business. And this software, well, it should go in the cloud somewhere. It should be a cloud installation. Of course, when you go and buy something today, there's probably nobody who will sell you a CRM system that you actually install on your local computer. And for us as individual consultants, well, we don't have a server in the basement and we don't have a guy running our server. So we don't want software running. We don't want to have our own software and have to take care of that and feed the server. So that's why we should have the software that we choose should be some kind of cloud software. Now, when we put it out into the cloud, then we need to think about, well, is this data secure, and is it safe? Do we have our data? Now, I don't think I've ever found a cloud provider that understood my need to have my own copy of my data. If I put all my data into some CRM system that lives in the cloud on a server somewhere with some provider, and I'm paying them $59 a month to run the system, but what happens if they go out of business, or if they are hacked, or sometimes it happens that their internet provider has a problem. If you're logged out, if you lose your data, well, then that's a problem. If we keep our data in our CRM system or in our network system, then we want to be sure that we have this data. And the only way I have found is to have to use the export features of this software. I've never found a piece of software that allowed me to set up, say, email me a copy of my entire contact database every week. I think that's a reasonable requirement. It means that I'm sure I have my data. I could put it into another system if my CRM vendor goes out of business. But I haven't found that. And what I'm doing instead is I just have a calendar reminder that tells me to go in, every Saturday and download the whole thing. I have a file, so it has an export function, but it doesn't have the scheduled feature that allows me to just get it, automatically get it. And of course, this stuff has to be secure. Some of these systems provide two-factor authentication. So, which means that whenever you log in, they will send you a text message to your phone, or you will have to confirm from an app on your phone that that's actually you trying to log in. Now, the soon-to-be ex-president of the United States failed to put two-factor authentication on his Twitter account. So, a security researcher managed to log in. Now, his fifth guess was MEGA 2020 exclamation mark, and that got him into Donald Trump's Twitter account. Now, you want more security than Donald Trump had, and you want to have a good password. For most of us, our threat isn't that high. Like the risk of somebody going in and accessing our customer database isn't terribly high, so a secure password is enough for most of us. But if we have very confidential information, if we need to have a higher security level, then you should look for a CRM system that has two-factor authentication, that has an app, so you can only log in. If some hacker manages to guess your password or get it from somewhere, then they cannot log in. If they try to log in, then you will get a notification on your phone saying, please confirm your login. And if you were not trying to log in, well, then you definitely know that evil is afoot. So that might be a consideration for you, depending on what your security needs are. So cost benefit. Well, we need to figure out how much we're going to spend on this, on keeping in touch with our prospects and clients. The actual out-of-pocket expense is not significant. So you can sign up for these services, and they're all in the $29, $59, $79 per month, which shouldn't be a problem. It's just a normal business expense. So the actual money you're spending, unless you decide to go with some kind of high-end custom Salesforce solution, then your actual money spent is probably not going to be a big issue. But the time you spend on this, on the care and feeding of this system, is going to be a factor. It might be significant. Now, there is no time lost going from level 0, where you have everything in a spreadsheet, to going to level 1, where you have MailChimp or some other piece of software. You upload your contacts once, and it actually takes some load off you, because you don't have to handle all the email bounces and the out of office replies. When you move to level 2, that's where you are going to see cost in time. You're going to have to spend some time putting information into that system. And the question for you is whether you're getting benefit from tracking from all of these logs. It might be that you have enough information. If you're running with, say, you have 10 or 20 recurring clients, then you might not need to log every call, or every email exchange that you have with them. Maybe you can just keep it in your mind. If you're trying to grow your business and you have a number of prospects, a number of people that you want to get in touch with, then you probably want some kind of follow-up system, like the people who are sending out books. If you're sending out 100 copies of your book, you want to make sure that you know who already got the book, and you want to note, did I follow up with that person yet? Going to what I call level 3 with a piece of network software is, well, depends probably on your situation and on whether having this visual overview of your data, that all of your connections, whether that improves your business, whether you feel that improves your business or not. Now, network software is kind of hard to talk about, so I'm just going to show you the one that I'm using, so you can see what is the possibilities at the possibilities at level 3, and you can decide whether the time investment is something that makes sense for you. So this was the presentation. So do you have any questions before I show you some of the software I'm using?
Sten, ActiveCampaign, how would you classify that in terms of levels and what type of software it is?
What was that? A campaign?
ActiveCampaign.
I'm not familiar with it, but it's email. I think it's level 1. Like, it's for you send out emails, and you get some kind of notification. Did people respond to it? Did they open it? Did they comment on it?
Yeah, and you can kind of set up automations where you say, okay, this email goes now, and then in 6 days' time, there's another email goes, and then in
right, yes, I know that feature. I think I consider that level 1, because it basically takes care of itself. Like, you set up this sequence of mails, and they just run. So the CRM system is stuff that you have to put data into, and that's why, trying to implement. I have many colleagues who have tried to implement CRM systems with their customers, and salespeople hate CRM systems because they have to go and manually put some stuff into it, and they don't want to spend that time. They want to spend that time on the road or on the phone.
Okay, I think there's a question there from Diane also. Diane, do you want to ask Sten your question?
Wondering, is MailChimp able to do CRM functionality? I use it for mailing lists.
I think she said, Sten, is MailChimp able to support both mailing list and CRM functionality?
MailChimp, they've started calling themselves a CRM. I haven't been using them for anything other than their basic mailing function. So they are trying to move from being a simple mailing list software to being a CRM system. I don't know how successful they really are. I haven't been using them as a CRM system, but they're at least trying to position themselves as such.
Sten, what would you consider a reasonable amount of time to be spending on managing whatever solution we decide on? You know, the amount of time we spend managing that on a weekly basis, for example.
Let's see, on a weekly basis, 1 to 2 hours. I'd
Okay.
say I would spend it should be doable in 1 hour. You should spend and you should probably let's see, no, it'll probably be 1 to 2 hours, because the daily effort on your CRM system is 10 minutes for what did you do today. Like, that's the 10 minutes. I called that person, I responded to that email, I got this request. So that kind of if you put it into your daily routine, then there's 10 minutes. There's 10 minutes every day, and then there is some kind of review looking at it, which is probably on a weekly cycle. So there's probably 1 hour that goes on, 10 minutes a day on feeding the system, and there's 1 hour probably reading the system, looking through, checking up, what will I be doing? Yes, I need to follow up with Joe next week. So we're probably at 2 hours a week.
Okay, thanks.
And I think that makes sense. I think that's a reasonable time spent. If you're spending 5 hours with the care and feeding of your system, then you're probably overspending time.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay, let's see. I'll just stop sharing this one and get out of the presentation, and then we'll see. Did we have any comments in the? We got the whatever was in the chat. Oh, there's a comment from Mark.
Say something, yeah.
Yeah, I would actually challenge what you said a little bit on ActiveCampaign being not being a CRM system, because we're using it in our business with some VA support, and a lot of the data entry we're actually having prospects and clients put in when they're scheduling appointments and acuity scheduling, and the information is porting directly into ActiveCampaign, along with the ability to put notes in on any phone calls.
Okay. Well, if you have the ability to log activity, then I think then I agree with you, Mark. Then I would consider does count as a CRM system. Like, it's the log functionality that I think is what's part of this CRM system. Yeah. So thank you.
And the other comment that I just wanted to share is, over the course of the past 5 years, have gone from let's see, I think Aweber or something in between that and Infusionsoft, which was a fairly significant investment, and then getting tech support on that was so expensive that I started learning that people called smaller companies like ours called it Confusionsoft. And then we ended up walking away from that and going to ActiveCampaign, and ActiveCampaign did a lot of the heavy lifting to port over not only the names and the addresses, but all the contact information, all the log information, and any questionnaires or assessment type questions that clients and prospects had filled out. They ported all that over into ActiveCampaign at no additional cost to us when we left the system.
Great.
So I wanted to share that if anyone is inspired to change CRM systems. I don't know how other places are working, but ActiveCampaign was generous in terms of providing the technical support. Where I mean, I could figure out some of it, but they did all of it.
It's a very good point that your existing data, to the extent that you can get that fed into your system, then you don't want to sit and re-enter a lot of stuff that you've been doing over time. So yes, if you can get somebody like the people at Active Contact to say, well, this is the data we have, get it in, and they're experts on, doing whatever massaging needs to happen for it to fit in. Yeah. So yeah, that's right. That's a good point. When you get started, you want to get your data in. So I think I'll just share my CRM system. Where do we have that? There, and share. Okay, so I'm using this stuff called Contactually, and it's they sell themselves as a CRM system for real estate agents. And well, but they seem to be they seem to fit my way of working. So the way it works is that it automatically talks to my email server, so it knows when was the last contact. So these contacts here, so I send an email to this guy this morning at 8:40. I send an email at 8:35, etc. And I have all of my contacts and all of the stuff that has happened, that the communication I've done with people. So I've been mailing with Patrick and Hamish back on November 4th. So getting that kind of information, like your emails should be able to feed in automatically. Phone calls are typically more difficult. Some systems offer an app, like if you call from an app, it will register a phone call. I'm not using any of that. I'm just simply registering my non-email communication by myself. One of the things I like about this this piece of software is it has a form of grouping of my contacts in what it calls buckets. So if I look at my buckets, I can have different types of people. I have candidates, somebody I'm trying to work with. There are some specific buyers, there's some active prospects, and each of them have a reminder. So I could say, if I put them in a bucket that has a 60-day reminder, that means I can see out here that, I'm actually behind schedule on my contact to my CIOs and IT leaders, because there are a few that are actually red. They are way overdue for their 60 days. Some are yellow, they're just past the 60 days, and some of them are green. I did contact them within the schedule that I set up. So I just go in per contact to say, this guy's in this bucket, this guy's in that bucket, and then it builds me, it generates me reminders. So that's something that works for me. That's a feature that I like with this software. Any questions on this, or comments you have on the CRM systems that you're using?
Does your what's it called, contactually?
Contactually.
Yeah. Does it have some sort of a funnel whereby you are changing the classification?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It has a pipeline feature. So you can say, yes, you go in here, you get this email. If you respond within 7 days, then something happens. If you don't respond, something else happens. Yes, so it has these kinds of automations. I've not been using any of that, so I'm using the features here that it reminds me, oh, get in touch with this person. It does do sort of email mail merge, so I can select this, check these 5 people, send them a dear first name. I wonder how things are going at company name. I just want to get in touch, yada yada, and you send that. So it has that functionality, but basically I'm just looking at this, say, okay, I have some candidates here that I'm out of touch with. I need to follow up on that. So the gamification of keeping as many green as possible is something that works for me.
Okay. And does it have different types of lists, or is that actually what we're looking at here? I guess it is it?
Well, these are actually, so a candidate or a person can be in one or more buckets. So, but generally they're in one bucket. But sometimes I have people who just happen to be in several buckets. But generally they're in one bucket, and they get a special a certain reminder. They get have a certain time frame before they sort of time out and become yellow or red.
Yeah. So when you write a circular email, or maybe you do a newsletter or something like that,
yes.
you write that, and then you can select groups here, and it goes to all the people who are named on that.
Actually, I'm not sending my my mass emails from here. I'm sending them from Mailchimp, but this integrates with Mailchimp, so I can see when I go in and look at a contact, I can see that I have contact. That person got a mail from me. It was through Mailchimp, but I can see that I did contact them. So that does update me.
Yeah.
So I'm using Mailchimp for my mass mailings, and this system just integrates. So your CRM system needs to have some kind of if it has to have relevant integrations. For
Yeah.
me, I have Mailchimp, so it has to have Mailchimp integration, and it has, of course, to be able to read my emails like this. My CRM system, of course, has to work together with my email system. If I was using some specific email system that it could not work with, I would, choose something else. There are some systems that work well with Google Mail, but if you're not using Google Mail, then they don't work. Okay, well, that's fine. If you're using Google Mail, they're a candidate. If you're not, well, you need something else. This one just works with basic IMAP email, so it's just with any normal email system.
Yeah.
Sten, I've got another question. So one of the things I constantly struggle with is how to decide whether to use lots of specialist services or apps, or whether to try and find something which does a lot of different things in one. Do you have, and quite often in other kind of product areas, the more you try and get one device or one service to do everything, the more problems you're going to have. But on the other hand, having to manage 6 different applications, like for CRM, for I don't know, to-do lists, and whatever else, a couple of other things, project details. What are your thoughts around that?
I am generally for best of breed solutions. Like, I take what is best for my need for this and for that, and then I'm looking for an integration.
Okay.
So that means, I'm using Mailchimp because I've been using Mailchimp since forever, and it fits my need. And when I said, well, I need a CRM system, I said, well, can I bolt something on that generally integrates well with my CRM system? Now, this one doesn't generate me tasks, or it does have a task system, but I'm not using that. I have my task management separately, and they're not integrated. So philosophically, I think my approach is I'm willing to take separate systems for separate purposes, and I think it might have something to do with the fact that I'm an IT guy myself. It's not a problem for me that this is in this system, this is in that system. Some people might want to have everything together and not having to manage all the systems. For me, it's no problem. This goes in this system, this goes in that system, but that's because I'm an IT guy. So I see the point, Hamish, and I can't really offer you sort of the general solution. My way of doing it is separate apps for separate things.
Okay. And Mark is asking, do you use Zapier at all? I think that's something to do with integrations, isn't it? Right?
Yes.
And if you do, then how do you use it? And what are the benefits?
So yes. So I'm not using Zapier because I have the integration. So Contactually can integrate with my email. That's built in. So a built-in integration is easiest because I'll just say, connect to, here's my Mailchimp password, connects, and it does the stuff. Zapier is based on you have some source systems and you have some target systems, and Zapier will basically serve as an intermediary. If you need to connect something that is not already connected, that doesn't have an integration, then you can go and set up a Zapier integration. And Zapier, its task is to serve as the glue or as the middle point for things. So you can say, I want to have a Zapier integration, and say, I want something that starts from Mailchimp and ends in Constant Contact. Or I want to have something that starts in my email program and ends in my calendar, or something like that. And then you define from Zapier, you say, well, here is the source, here's the target, why are these two together? And then you pay Zapier something like, you have if you have 200 integrations per month, you pay, you know, $10. If you have 1,000, you pay $20, something like that. So that's how Zapier works. It allows you to connect things that are not, that don't have a connection. Don't set it up yourself. Okay, if you're going to set up, if you're going to use Zapier, that means that you're trying to connect something that doesn't have a built-in connection. So find somebody who does Zapier and have them set it up, because otherwise that is going to be a time sink.
Okay. Great. So maybe you can show us your network approach.
Yes, I will do that.
Yeah.
So let's see.
See what other questions come up.
So we'll stop sharing that one. And
Interesting
then
as well to hear from other people what they are using.
yes. So so this is my network software, and it's something called the Brain, and it has this kind of neural network feel to it. And what I have here is, this is a current project. This is a project I'm working with. I've decided, like, you can use this any way you want. So this is the way I've set up and tweaked it over the years. I figured out that I have projects, they have one color. I have people, they have another color. I have organizations, they have a third color. So, and I can link everything here links downwards, upwards, or sideways. So I have on my project, so I was emailing Robert, and I thought, well, you know, I know that name, and I can go in here and I can say, well, what do I know about Robert? Ah, yes, I ran into him. Now he's working at the Technical University, Technical University of Denmark. But I ran into, he used to be at this company, and then he was at that company. And I've done these integrations with them. I did this project together with that guy. So I have this connection. So he links sideways down to a project, up to places where he worked. So if I go back to my project, there was another contact. I said, well, you know, I know that name. Where do I know him from? I say, oh, well, actually, he works for the IT University in Copenhagen, but I know him. From a project that we were doing at our summer cottage, where we were trying to get somebody to install fiber optic cables. So I was already in contact with him. So I can say, here was my project. Here was the fiber optic cables in better broadband in our summer cottage area, and these are the people that are connected with that project. And then, you know, they could link, and I could have links here. So this one links to our Facebook page. If I click here, well, I'm not sharing my whole screen, but if I click here, it would open up Facebook and link me there. And let's see, I have events here. So yeah, so I have a SAC presentation scheduled for November 2020. Oh yes, I have right now. And that's something that I'm doing. It's in November, so I have a time schedule. It's linked to the organization of SAC Europe, and SAC Europe is linked to Patrick and Hamish. So yeah, so that's how this software works. It allows me. This is something. This is something that you build up over time. Like, I've been using this software for, I don't know, 10 years, and I figured out how to use it, how it makes sense for me, and that's part of my daily 10 minutes, or maybe it's 15 minutes. So when I'm sending emails when new people join the project, then I would link here. I'm also using this for knowledge. Who do I know who knows something? It actually started when I was a technical consultant. I used it to track who knows things about different areas. Let's see. Henrik was working at the IT University, and I was discussing business intelligence education with Peter, and the topic here, so that's another color, data warehousing. So who knows something about data warehousing? And I could click and I could link to people who have knowledge on specific technical areas. So, but this is very flexible software, but it also means that you need to figure out how to use it. So I have my way of using that I've developed over time, but it's probably it's not for everyone to spend time on. I started with this when I was interacting with a lot of people in my technical capacity, and I needed to know who knows something about this. Whenever I ran across somebody who was an expert on some technical aspect, I would put them in here. And then over time, I figured, oh, I'll keep all my projects in here. Then I have all my people, everybody I'm interacting with in some way. And then it starts giving me some value that it presents. It gives me a visual presentation of the people, the projects, the events, the organization.
Where does it get its intel from? You have to input this each day.
I'm inputting all of this myself. This
Yeah.
this integrates with absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so it's more of a long-term thing then for you to start getting value out of it. It's going to take a while to build up and for those
Yes.
connections to start
Yes.
happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I would have started it as a consultant. So I'm taking it as an illustration. I started with it because I needed a lot of who knows this database, or who knows this application server, or this programming tool, or this language. So that was what I was looking for. And then I had all of these, I was starting registering people and their knowledge in this system. And then when I had it, I realized it would work well for other things. Now, I'm showing you because I think it's an interesting piece of software, and it's an interesting way of thinking at people and at relations. But whether it actually makes sense for a consultant, I'm not trying to sell you this and say, this will make sense for you. That I'm saying this is a high level of use of technology for managing your customer contact client project info.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point. I was having this conversation the other day with somebody, I can't remember who now, but I think generally, I mean, not just in terms of CRM, but generally in terms of business, and the R in CRM, the relationship part is actually probably the most important, because we were discussing, do you use your CRM for the pipeline part and that kind of thing. And I think the reality is a lot of us, anyway, maybe not all, have relatively few large projects every year rather than hundreds of small ones. So it's not really the project management that's the important piece, it's rather the relationship management. And I can definitely see, because what normal CRM doesn't really do is, like you say, visualize the interconnections between various people. And maybe this would help you make connections that you might not otherwise automatically make.
Yes.
So I can see how this could provide kind of an additional value to a normal, traditional CRM.
Our relationships as well are kind of horizontal over time, and that they extend over time. So I, find myself coming across people in different guises or in different lives even. So recently I came across a guy and his name rang a bell, and then I went back into my archives, if you like, and I found this guy that I'd been talking to him in a previous situation 5 years ago in a totally different company and context. Whereas if I had something like that, he would have appeared immediately. You would have clicked on his name and he would have come up with his company and where I met him and all of that. So I can see how that would be useful for us over the long term, and particularly in relation to the relationship management, and also impressing people with your memory, which is not really yours. This is not really your memory; it's yours.
No, it's you're outsourcing You're outsourcing your brain to this this piece of software, which is of course why they have they've chosen this rather ambitious name that this is the brain.
Yeah.
It's something. It's something that a lot of people do, though, is use one of these services as a second brain, not necessarily just for CRM, but also for like notes if they're writing a book, or anything which requires some kind of that kind of interconnectedness, which is hard to keep in your head.
Yes.
This kind of solution can be very useful for that. I think Stephen wanted to say something now.
Yeah, thanks. Sten, that's a very impressive piece of software. From starting with it, day zero, how many weeks or months was it until you really started to see the value over just having your memory, like Patrick was talking about? How long does it take to really get some value out of something like that?
I think I started getting value out of it after about 6 months, and after about a year, I think I decided that this is something I'm going to keep up. But my situation when I started was a bit different, as I think Hamish or Patrick was saying. We have maybe 10 people that we could actually keep in our mind, but if we keep adding, whenever we come across somebody in some capacity and we add it here, then we get these interconnections. Where I started, where I saw the value originally, was in a technical capacity. So that was, I read this article by this guy on Oracle version 8, and say, oh, that guy knows about Oracle version 8, or that guys know about Java Enterprise Beans or something like that. And I registered the knowledge, and then I quickly found I could find, okay, this person knows about this person knows about that. And that was what got me started, and which has morphed into, now it's part of my contact management. It still has a lot of information. So if I ever needed to figure out somebody who knew something about Oracle version 8, I could probably still dig it up, but the information would be fairly outdated by now. But it just basically, it stays there. It's just a part of the part of this brain that I just don't go into, because it's not really relevant. But sometimes I'll come across, oh, where did I know, or that name is familiar, or I start entering a name and says, oh, I have him already. Oh yes, he came to your conference presentation, and you had a discussion after Oracle Open World 2011, which is kind of, oh yeah, I know you, I recognize you. That's like Patrick was, I think it was Patrick saying, you can impress people with your memory. Oh yes, yeah, we met in San Francisco 7 years ago.
Do you find yourself going to the restroom a lot at conferences to quickly look this up? No, that's a great answer. Thank you.
Taking notes.
So I just posted in the chat. It would be helpful, I think, if everybody could just quickly post in the chat which CRM system they currently use, if you do use one, and how happy you are with it on a scale of 1 to 10. And then, because it might, if some people are looking to change, then it might give people a few ideas about where to look. And then, yeah, let's just open it up to any other questions that anybody has, which we haven't covered yet.
Stephen, using what, XLS and ActiveCampaign? Yeah, I use ActiveCampaign as well.
I'm using something called SalesFlare, which is a very small, well, it's kind of a scale up, I suppose you would call it, based in Belgium, but it's aimed at people like us and also small agencies, and it's very much focused on ease of use and importing.
What's it called, Hamish?
SalesFlare. SAL as a sales, and then FLARE, and it's focused on making it as simple as possible, basically, so you don't spend a lot of time managing it.
There's a question there from Oriol. What do you think about tools such as Airtable, Notion, or Roam built upon blocks? I'm using Airtable. That is an improved spreadsheet.
Yeah, I've been using those tools, but only ad hoc for projects. Now, if I need to collect something, then Airtable and these tools allow you to gather build your own form or data structure, I guess. I'm happy with it, but I'm not using for my CRM. I've been using it ad hoc for projects.
Okay. Sophie says she just uses a mailing system, no CRM. Which mailing system do you use, Sophie? Maybe we should type it
It is a
in.
mailing system that is integrated in the Wix software. It's very basic, but it does what it has to do.
Okay.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. If it works, it works.
Yeah.
exactly. And you're not no need to move to if you can send out the emails that you need, then there is no need to there's no pressing need to upgrade to a CRM system. And again, as we were saying, if we want to, like Hamish was saying, this was very easy to use, and it has to be, when you open it or start a trial or basically just see the demo video of it, you could say, okay, I can totally see myself using that. And if you're saying, I wonder how that works, then probably keep looking, because there are lots of tools out there.
Okay. Any more comments or questions there from people before we wrap? We're close to the top of the hour now.
Yeah, I have one more question, Sten. Obviously, all of this, we're trying to do this so that we have, good quality data, good quality information, with the minimizing the labor at the same time. But are there any developments in the market that you're seeing that you think, oh yes, that's surprising, that's a new functionality that we should be aware of and would save us more time or give us better information?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I'm seeing lots of people promising that their artificial intelligence gizmo gadget will do all of this work for us, and it should be possible. Like, it should be a use case, but I haven't seen anybody really doing that well.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I don't see anything on the horizon where I'm saying, well, I'm just looking forward to that. I think the one thing that I would like is for, some kind of automation for a regular mobile phone, because all of these phone system integrations, they work for people who have a bank of telephones. They have 10,000 callers or 1,000 people in a call center. But I would just like something that my mobile phone will register into my CRM system, and few of them do that. That would be a nice step, but we should see AI doing something wonderful for us. But yeah, it's been promised for a few decades.
Okay, well, Sten, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thanks a lot, Sten.
Great,
Yeah, thanks, Sten.
great
Thank you.
Okay.
advice
Great.
and insights and
Could I
tips.
just say as well, thank you, Sten, and thanks, Patrick and Hamish, for organising these events. I think, thanks a lot, really appreciate it.
Yeah, so
Very well.
there'll be more to come. So keep an eye on your inbox. And Sten, if anybody wants to contact you with follow-up questions, where will they find you?
Well, they could ping me on the forums, or they could send me. I'm sten@vesterli.com, so that's like my name. So that's
Yeah.
that should be easy. Or look me up in the on the SAC on my SAC profile. My email's there. Email and Twitter and stuff is there as well.
Okay, good to see you all, guys. Enjoy
Thanks a
your
lot,
dinner.
Patrick.
Enjoy your dinner.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hamish. Thanks,
Yes.
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Sten.
Thanks.
Cheers,
Cheers.
guys.
Bye.
Well,
Bye.
Bye.